Hey, I'm doing kind of enjoying this Cleverbot stuff. Wait, but
tonight, the people versus James Holmes. The suspect in the theater massacre hears prosecutors charge him with mass murder. John Blackstone was in the court.
He had a type of evil or diabolical presence.
A new diplomatic dust-up. Mitt Romney in the Middle East says culture makes Israelis economically superior to Palestinians. Jan Crawford is with the candidate. Syrian rebels hold out against the dictator's army in the ancient city of Aleppo. Larissa Ward has a rare report from inside Syria. And George Washington slept here. This is the roof under which he spent at least half of the American Revolution. Anthony Mason on where the history of the revolution will spin the future. This is the CBS Evening News with Scott Pepper. Good evening. James Holmes heard charges today that could cost him his life if he is convicted in the Colorado theater massacre. Prosecutors presented well over 100 charges in court today. 12 counts of premeditated murder, one for each of the people who died, and 12 counts of murder with extreme indifference to human life. Again, one for each of the dead. Those charges carry the death penalty. Holmes is also charged with 116 counts of attempted murder, 2 counts for each of the people prosecutors say were injured, 2 counts each because the prosecutors haven't decided which law they will use at trial. Some victims and some relatives were in the courtroom in Centennial, Colorado. So was John Blackstone. John, what did you say?
Well, James Holmes still has orange hair, and he looks as if he hasn't shaved since he was arrested. But in court today, he showed no emotion, and he stared up at the ceiling. He often opened his eyes very wide for no apparent reason. But he never made eye contact with the victims or their families who were in the courtroom. This was Holmes in court last week, the last time we saw him on camera. This time, the judge barred cameras from the courtroom. Some of those still healing from wounds suffered in the theater shooting came to the court to see him formally charged. Ali Garvey, whose 16-year-old son suffered a head wound, came in search of an answer.
I want to ask him why he did it. Why he did it.
But Holmes said just one word today. The judge asked if he agreed to waive his right to a preliminary hearing in 35 days. Holmes replied, yes.
He had a type of evil or diabolical presence.
Mariota Hansen came on behalf of her niece, Ashley Moser, who was shot in the neck. Moser's 6-year-old daughter, Veronica, was the youngest person killed. Moser was pregnant and had a miscarriage this weekend.
She's going to be paralyzed from the waist down, and we're hopeful that she'll get full use of her arms again.
She not only lost her daughter, she lost her own daughter.
Correct. And her entire life is going to change completely from that night.
The list of charges against Holmes is 72 pages long and could bring life in prison with a death penalty for killing 12 and
wounding. You want to be in court the next time he shows up. You want to be there for this trial.
Yes, I really do. You know, and we have an emotional investment for what he's done to our family.
Holmes' attorneys argued that a notebook he sent to his psychiatrist just before the shooting is confidential doctor-patient communication, and as such, they argued that should be kept out of public view.
John, thank you. 10 of the wounded are still in the hospital tonight. 3 of them are in critical condition. Now to the presidential camp. Mitt Romney left controversy in his wake today as he left Israel and Poland in his first overseas tour as the presumptive Republican nominee. His remarks to supporters in Jerusalem angered Palestinians. Jim Crawford is traveling with Governor Romney.
Romney's welcome to Poland by senior leaders in solidarity legend Lech Walesa was overshadowed by remarks made at a fundraiser, which was closed to cameras before he left Israel. He told major donors that Israeli culture helps explain why they are more economically successful than the neighboring Palestinians. You notice a dramatic, stark difference in economic vitality, he said, and that is also between other countries that are near or next to each other, Chile and Ecuador, Mexico, and the United States. Culture makes all the difference. As I come here and I look out over the city and consider the accomplishments of the people of this nation, I recognize the power of at least culture and a few other things. Romney, referring to the work of a prominent Harvard historian, has repeatedly made similar remarks on the campaign trail.
Culture makes all the difference. Not natural resources, not geography, but what people believe and what they value.
But that infuriated Palestinian leaders, who said Romney failed to take into account the impact of Israel's trade restrictions on the West Bank and the Gaza Strip and the unreliability of the Gaza border with Egypt. Romney also sharply understated the gulf between Israel's GDP and that of the Palestinians. He said it was 21,000 to 10,000. The World Bank said it was 31,000 to 1,500. Now, Lech Walesa, the famous solidarity leader, basically endorsed Romney today. He had invited him to Poland, but the trade union movement distanced itself from Romney's visit, saying he had supported attacks on unions back in the United States.
Jan, thank you. It's the campaign rhetoric here at home that has a lot of Americans shaking their heads. The advertising from both campaigns is overwhelmingly negative and very often just plain wrong, based on half-truths or lies. We asked Nancy Cordes to show us what's passing for campaign advertising these days.
A scary time to be a woman. The new ad from the Obama campaign implies that a Romney presidency would be bad for women. Romney supports overturning Roe v. Wade. It's true that Romney opposes abortion.
I was consistent as governor, as a pro-life governor.
But it was this claim in the ad that earned the Obama campaign a blistering pants-on-fire rating from PolitiFact, the organization which tracks misleading political claims. Romney backed a bill that outlaws home abortion, even in cases of rape and incest. In 2008, Romney did back a constitutional amendment that would ban all abortions, but some versions of that proposed legislation included exemptions for rape and incest. And Romney has repeatedly said he believes in exemptions for rape, incest, or to save the life of the mother. It's far from the first presidential campaign ad to stretch the truth this cycle. Just last week, the Romney campaign took President Obama's comments about government's role in building infrastructure out of context, implying he belittled the private sector.
If you're successful, you have to get that on your own. If you're not business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
Here's what the president really said.
Somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that we have that allows you to thrive. Somebody invested in roads and bridges. If you're not business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
The Obama campaign contends its ad is factual because Mr. Romney has expressed support for a variety of legislation that would ban all abortions, no exception. It's likely the campaign resurrected this issue because while Mr. Obama leads among women, Mr. Romney has been gaining ground recently.
Nancy Cordes at the White House tonight. Nancy, thank you very much. In Syria, the battle is on for the ancient city of Aleppo, as part of the civil war that started nearly a year and a half ago as a popular uprising against the dictatorship of Bashar al-Assad. The UN says 200,000 people have fled Aleppo, which has more than 3 million residents, about the size of Los Angeles. The Syrian dictatorship bars reporters from the region, but correspondent Charlie Deck slipped in past the Syrian army. We spoke to him earlier today.
What's clear is that the battle for Aleppo is raging on. What is less clear is who's winning. But the rebels did score a victory this morning just northwest of Aleppo. They overran a government outpost, and they captured something between 8 and 10 tanks, a lot of trucks with ammunition and weapons, desperately needed weapons. Now, this evening, we heard a series of explosions in this area. Residents here have suggested that it was in retaliation for overrunning that government outpost. But what we heard from rebel forces, what it was actually, is those very tanks being used against the Syrian army.
Charlie Deck, inside Syria, as we mentioned, the Syrian dictatorship bars reporters from the war zone. But our Clarissa Ward was able to spend a week with the rebels in the northwest city of Idlib. Tonight, she tells the story of a group of medics who are right on the front line.
Driving an ambulance seized from the Syrian government, a small group of volunteers is on a dangerous mission, speeding past Syrian military positions to reach wounded rebel fighters. We can't show you their faces for fear that the government will punish their families. They call themselves the Medical Battalion, but even the most senior member of the team, who goes by the name Shamo, isn't a doctor. He was about to graduate from medical school when he was arrested by the government for his support of the opposition. But in Syria now, an almost doctor is better than no doctor at all.
This is our job, my job. So I must.
The volunteers have set up a string of makeshift clinics, and crucially, a communication network.
So you have given radios to all these different towns. They call you when they have a problem.
Yes.
And then you go.
Yes, we go.
When fierce fighting broke out in that town 2 weeks ago, members of the medical battalion carried out as many of the wounded as they could. Many were children caught in the crossfire. There was only so much the medics could do. Abu Assad trained as a veterinarian before joining the volunteer medics. He said the sights and sounds of war have dried his tears.
So you no longer feel emotional, you no longer feel the urge to cry.
Inside myself, I think about the situation. I can't be able. We can't stop crying.
Oops.
We can't cry. We'll try to stop, but we can't.
So they don't stop. On this day, the mission was to deliver these emergency medical kits to rebel fighters in the area. We used back roads, stopped when locals warned us that Syrian government tanks were blocking the way ahead. The team took shelter in the local home and prayed. It was night before we were able to try to see through. The team turned off the headlights as we raced past the Syrian army's checkpoint. Thanks be to God, they said. They were back in the relative safety of rebel-held territory. They're building makeshift clinics as fast as they can smuggle supplies across the border with Turkey, but there is one shortage that they can't overcome. For now, the best they can do is to spend a few minutes teaching first aid before getting back on the dangerous road to the next village. In the midst of a vicious civil war, this lone ambulance offers people some hope for a better future.
Clarissa has now returned from Syria and joins us from our bureau in London. Clarissa couldn't help but notice a lot of civilians were being treated by these rebel medics.
That's right, Scott, and that's one of the major challenges they face. They're not just looking to treat wounded rebel fighters, they're looking to provide an almost alternative healthcare system for all civilians who are living in rebel-held territory and who do not have access to government-run hospitals.
Clarissa Ward, just back from Syria. Thanks very much. A record blackout leaves 360 million people in the dark. Farmers wage a new battle for survival against the drought. And a dust storm in the southwest when the CBS Evening News continues.
You've probably heard a lot about reverse mortgages lately, and frankly, it may all seem just a little confusing. And if you're anything like me, you want to have all the facts before you make any big decision. That's why I want to send you this free DVD about reverse mortgages. It'll walk you through the process, qualification, to counseling, closing, and also answer some important questions. What are the costs? How they compare to a traditional mortgage? How is the government involved? And what is your responsibility after you get your reverse mortgage? The answers are all in this free DVD. A reverse mortgage could be a smart, safe, and secure option that could help you pay off your original mortgage, manage your health care costs, or just cover your day-to-day expenses. So call this toll-free number and let me send you your free video. Call 1-800-618-2744 now.
Ooh. How about a honeymoon in Bora Bora?
Definitely not Bora Bora.
Let's go here.
Sometimes when you realize the journey is the destination. Visit the Infinity Limited Consumer Event This offers a year on our entire line of electric vehicles. Infinity, inspired performance. Every day, thousands of people are choosing that for their headaches.
My name is Sunshine, and I have 3 beautiful girls. I like taking Abby off her headache and mix it in the bed, and I can be that mommy that I want to be.
Take action. Take action.
All multivitamins give me the basics. They claim to be complete. Only Central goes beyond, providing more than just the essential nutrients. So I'm at my best. Central, always your most complete. I slipped on the machine, and it showed me the pressure points on my feet and exactly where I needed more support.
I had tired achy feet until I got my number from Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotics.
Yeah, I'm a believer.
You'll be a believer too. Learn where to find your number at drscholls.com.
Constipated? That's just like Dopalax can cause cramps. The Phillips capsules don't. They have magnesium for effective relief of occasional constipation. Please. Live the regular life. Phillips.
We got new evidence today of the toll of the worst drought in more than 50 years. The government says nearly half of the corn crop is now in poor or very poor condition. And the World Bank raised new concerns today about the rising cost of food. Dean Reynolds is in the heart of corn country where farmers are looking to the government for help.
So tell me what the forecast is for today. The forecast for today is essentially the same forecast we've had for most of the last 3 months. Roughly about 90 degrees, sunny, with about a 20% chance of rain. It's just that 20% chance of rain has never materialized.
David Martin's family has been farming in central Indiana since John Quincy Adams was president.
How close are you to just writing off this crop? There are large areas in our fields where it will yield essentially nothing.
In a normal year, he raises more than enough corn to feed his 12,000 hogs.
We're actually having to go out and buy corn on the open market to feed our hogs through the next year.
He says it's not just the weather that's squeezing him. 40% of the national corn harvest last year went to ethanol production under the federal government's renewable fuel standard, requiring petroleum companies to buy a minimum amount of ethanol to blend into gasoline supplies. David Martin, along with many of his neighbors, wants the government to waive the requirement during this drought so he can compete fairly with the supply he needs instead of paying sky-high prices for what little is left. The ethanol industry opposes any changes and says its consumption of corn is down nearly 14% in the last 6 weeks.
Well, you plan for the worst and hope for the best. Is this the worst? This is the worst I have ever seen in my lifetime, and I hope it stays the worst that I've ever experienced. Now, experts on the ethanol market say a federal waiver this year is highly unlikely, Scott, but if the drought persists into next year, it will only intensify the battle between the ethanol industry that helps to power our cars and the livestock farmers who produce the meat we eat.
And there's no let up in sight, Pete. Thanks very much. The largest power outage in history left 360 million people across northern India in the dark. The electric grid collapsed today in stifling summer heat, making a mess of train travel. India is no stranger to blackouts. Hospitals, businesses, and airports switched to backup systems. It took 15 hours to get the power back. The London Olympics are sold out, so why are there so many empty seats? That's ahead.
Here he comes. You might want your doctor doing your job. So why are you doing his? Only your doctor can determine if your persistent heartburn is actually something more serious, like acid reflux disease. Over time, stomach acid can damage the lining of your esophagus. For many, prescription Nexium not only provides 24-hour heartburn relief, but can also help heal acid-related erosions in the lining of your esophagus. Talk to your doctor about the risk for osteoporosis-related bone fractures and low magnesium levels of long-term use of Nexium. Possible side effects include headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. Let your doctor do his job, and you do yours. Ask if Nexium is right for you. If you can't afford the medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Is this bad time?
No, right to God.
Great. It's the night the nail in your hair so looks amazing.
Well, it starts with a healthy scalp. That's why I use Head & Shoulders for men. There are 4 shampoos for game-winning scalp protection and great-looking hair.
Go on.
With 7 benefits in every bottle, Head & Shoulders for men washes off flakes, itch, and dryness. It washes in.
Liquid scalp and hair with Head & Shoulders for men.
Before Allegra, I was constantly fighting indoor allergies. After Allegra, I found peace. Only Allegra is both fast and non-drowsy. It relieves my toughest indoor allergy symptoms for 24 hours, and it works on my outdoor allergies too. After Allegra, I have it all.
I woke up with this horrible rash on my right side, an intense burning sensation, like somebody had set it on fire. And the doctor said, Cindy, you have shingles. He said, you had chickenpox when you were a little girl. I said, yes, I did.
If you had chickenpox, the shingles virus is already inside you.
I don't think anybody ever thinks they're going to get shingles when it happened to me.
As you get older, there's a greater chance shingles can happen to you. For more of the inside story, visit shinglesinfo.com.
Oh, well. Nice today, tomorrow, man. I would run right through his ranch.
Here's the new flag. I'm going to set mine. Take me to a car from a rancher most of the time. If you don't have a problem, I'll have one.
That's about to top now, man.
You said it was about winning.
Phoenix is used to dust, but when you combine a giant cloud of it with monsoon rain, you get a monster storm. It moved through the Phoenix area last night, causing highway accidents and knocking out power to thousands. Thousands of empty seats at the London Olympics are making a lot of people angry. Sports officials from several countries had scooped up blocks of tickets, but then didn't use them. Today, the organizers took some of those tickets back so they can be resold. They also had British soldiers fill in some of the empty seats. American swimmers won 2 more gold medals today. 17-year-old Missy Franklin took the women's 100-meter backstroke, and Matt Reavers won the men's 100-meter backstroke. Fellow American Nick Thomas took the silver. It will be the first museum of its kind. A look at this revolutionary idea next.
If you're one of over 50 million adults who suffer from sore mouth, consider Nuax Sensitive. This soothing alcohol-free formula has maximum fluoride to rebuild enamel up to 2 times stronger. Nuax Sensitive, strong teeth and fresh breath in a sensitive formula.
You know what people are looking for fast, long-lasting relief. Use doctor-recommended Gaviscon. Only Gaviscon forms a protective barrier that helps block stomach acid from splotching out, relieving the pain quickly. Try fast, long-lasting Gaviscon.
At Sleep Number, individualizing your sleep is at the heart of every innovation.
Wow, that feels really good.
And now, Sleep Number introduces our new memory foam series. Sleep-only memory foam beds with exclusive dual-air technology that adjusts on each side. Memory foam just found its better half. Sleep Number. Enjoy introductory savings of $500 and 2 free cool fit pillows, plus free shipping through Saturday. Only at the Sleep Number store, where queen mattresses start at just $6.99.
Hi, I'm Phil Mickelson. I've been fortunate to win on golf's biggest stages, but with joint pain and stiffness from psoriatic arthritis hit, even the smallest things became difficult. I finally understood what serious joint pain is like. I talked to my rheumatologist, and he prescribed Emerald.
Emerald can help relieve pain, stiffness, and stop joint damage. Because Emerald, etanercept, suppresses your immune system, it may lower your ability to fight infections. Serious, sometimes fatal events, including infections, tuberculosis, lymphoma, other cancers, and nervous system and blood disorders have occurred. Before starting Emerald, your doctor should test you for tuberculosis and discuss whether you've been to a region where certain fungal infections are common. Don't start Emerald if you have an infection like the flu. Tell your doctor if you're prone to infections, have cuts or sores, have had hepatitis B, have been treated for heart failure, or if while on Emerald you experience persistent fever, bruising, pain, or illness.
Get back to the things that matter most. Ask your rheumatologist if Emerald is right for you.
Emerald, the #1 biologic medicine prescribed by rheumatologists.
What did your blood sugar meter tell you to do? New One Touch Vario IQ is the first meter ever to alert you to high patterns and low patterns right on screen to help you with your insulin adjustments. Call 1-800-989-2876 to see if you qualify for a special offer on One Touch Vario IQ. Call 1-800-989-2876 now. More wells are turning up with contaminated water tonight after a multiple pipeline spill, so when will workers finally be able to fix that problem? That story tonight.
There are museums dedicated to barbed wire and spam, hobos and yo-yos and even trash. Yet there is no major museum for the treasures of the American Revolution. Tonight, Anthony Mason tells us there are plans to right that wrong, with a museum to be built with public and private funds in the city where America was born.
If you come down here,
In a secret location in the suburbs of Philadelphia, Scott Stevenson has been cataloging artifacts from the Revolutionary War.
this is a British musket.
A musket used in the Battle of Lexington and Concord, the first action in the War of Independence.
It would have had a scrap.
A soldier's canteen, one of only 3 known to have survived. This is U States.
U-States. If you think about it, at this point, the United States is still just an idea.
For years, the 3,000 items in this collection have been looking for a permanent home. By 2015, they'll finally have one. When the Museum of the American Revolution opens in Philadelphia, near Independence Hall. Amazingly, it'll be the first national museum to tell the entire story of the American Revolution.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm glad it's here.
Brown University professor Gordon Wood is a scholar of the Revolution.
There are museums for almost every conceivable event in American history or person in American history, but not for the American Revolution, which is extraordinary when you think of the Revolution as the most important event in our history.
This collection will include this letter, written in Washington's own hand, celebrating the French joining the cause. It was donated just this month.
That's a pretty exciting. That's a nice thing to have for.
And this document,
This is the original. This is the original.
This is the
Printed
original.
in the spring of 1775.
An enlistment form for recruits to an uprising.
And enlist ourselves as soldiers in the Massachusetts service for the preservation of the liberties of America.
This is the beginning of the army.
This is it.
The carvings on a soldier's powder horn show the stakes were high.
Kill or be killed. And liberty or death.
Is this the prize of the collection, really?
It'll be hard to top this one, that's for sure.
The 20-foot piece of canvas was General Washington's home during the war.
This is his actual tent. This is it. This is the roof under which he spent at least half of the American Revolution. Personally, I think it's chilling to think about the emotions that were felt underneath this canvas.
Washington's victories led to the birth of a nation.
To be an American is to not be somebody, but to believe in something. And the things we believe in came out of that revolution.
The
The story is written in this collection, artifacts from an act of defiance that would literally change the world. Anthony Mason, CBS News. And that's the CBS Evening News for tonight. For all of us at CBS News all around the world. Good night.
Nothing we do.
The Insight, tonight at 9:30 on WMLW. Okay, in Avatar, when they have sex in Pandora, they look at their ponytails. So we know the ponytails are like a chunk. Yeah, so when they ride horses and fly on the birds, they also use their ponytails. But the point is, if I were a horse or a bird, I'd be very nervous around James Cameron. It amazes me how you constantly accept the fictional details when there are more important things in the real world to worry about. For example, why was it William Shatner in the new Star Trek movie? Hey, Sheldon. I was up in the administration office and I happened to overhear the name of the winner of this year's Chancellor's Award for Science. And you want to run by them to the again. I'm William Shatner, theoretical physics. What self-important training fraud are they honoring this year? Oh, I'm so glad you asked it like that. You. I won. You won. I won. It's astonishing. Not that I won the award. No one deserves it more. Actually, I guess I misspoke. It's not astonishing. More like an evidence. I'm not sure what to do first. Maybe I should call my mother. Wait, I know. I'm going to conduct an interview with myself and post it online. In a hot, dense station nearly 14 million years ago, expansion started way back. We are trophies in the and all the molecules near the wall of the pyramids, last night, the city unraveling the mystery of all started with the Big Bang.
Help, I miss them too.
I can go back to school on the traditional route. Lots of people do. I mean, lots. But they aren't me. I want classes I control, not lectures I have to sit through. I'm not out to land some job. I want a career. I know I don't want that. I'm not afraid to go my own way. And it looks like I'm not alone.
CTU, the new direction of online education. Are you in?
Spears in the front of your skull? No. You didn't want to flirt me at 7-Eleven, you big glasses. That would be another congratulatory call for me. Mute, please. Hang on, let me out. Hello? Oh, Chancellor Morton, how are you, years ago.
Steve, what happens if I choose not to give a speech? And if I don't want to forfeit the award? We've got that time from the Negro Road. Thank you. Problem? What? Expect me to give a speech.
Hello?
I can't give a speech. No, you're listening
Hello?
to speeches all the time.
What is that? Okay. This way, before you continue, what survey? What survey? Okay. Huh. Can gift card be sent? Can you send a gift card? Okay. Sorry. Oh yeah, okay, I'm at a computer right now. Okay.